We are now just a couple of days away from Mario 3D All-Stars, and I think people are starting to really get hype, and some people are starting to really get angry because of the fact that these games are just such basic ports, and people are starting to really realize what these games actually are, and starting to hit them pretty hard. But personally, I am still extremely excited for these games, and I cannot wait to dive back into some of the games of my childhood, especially Super Mario Sunshine, my favorite game. But today, we have to talk about this game one last time before the release, and today's video is going to focus on the controls that this game is going to have. How different are the controls with these brand new games with motion controls from Galaxy, and also the fact of not having analog triggers for Super Mario Sunshine. But before we get started today, I want to say thank you to our sponsor, Satisfye, for giving us the brand new Pro Grip for our Nintendo Switch. Obviously, these 3D Mario Remastered games are going to be a lot of fun, but most of the time, I guarantee lots of us are probably going to be playing it handheld on our bed, and you will get hand cramps, I promise you. After playing my Switch for so long, I started to develop my arm getting numb simply by holding the Switch. So this Pro Grip will definitely help that. I'm not a big fan of grips, but man, this thing was definitely comfortable for me, and I found it a lot easier to play games on my bed, laying down, standing up, you know, whatever it may be. It also comes with a USB-C charging cable, little stick grips for your thumbs, and also comes with a Nintendo Switch Joy-Con rail so that you can keep your Joy-Con organized. This all comes in a bundle kit, and right now they are having a big back-to-school sale, so hurry up and get yours. You can have your little bundle case that you can take to school or to work, whatever class you're going to, and also play the Switch as you wait. And it could be a cool little in between your breaks. You can sit there with your grip and not have thumb pain or arm pain or any type of pain. Thank you again, Satisfye, and all the links are down below in the description. Now, when we're talking about the controls of all three of these games, it's going to be kind of hard to bring up 64. Mario 64 doesn't really change much, as the controls were pretty much basic. We played it on the Wii, we played it on the Wii U, we've had it on all types of Virtual Console. Nothing is really going to change with this game. The only gameplay changes really is we know some of the glitching mechanics are gone, such as the backwards long jump, such as the dialogue and stuff from Bowser, or from Mario throwing Bowser. For instance, he says bye-bye instead of so long King Bowser. And yeah, that's pretty much the only real changes, and control-wise, nothing's really affected. Everything is pretty much just mapped to the regular buttons on a Switch Pro controller and also on Joy-Con, so you're not going to really experience any type of different situation here with 64. On the case for Super Mario Sunshine, some things are different since we don't have the analog triggers. The button mapping is slightly different, and they're going to be utilizing both triggers here. So ZL will be your center camera, and L will be your guidebook, which always sucks when you accidentally hit it, because who really uses a guidebook? But you have your suspend menu and your move Mario on the left Joy-Con, and on the right Joy-Con is kind of all your controls, which would be the right side of the Pro controller if you're using that. You have your pause screen mapped to plus. To switch nozzles, it's going to be X, which is always in the general same direction when you're playing on the Nintendo GameCube controller. It's right above A, so that's probably not going to change much. But the thing that kind of bothers me here is the jump, swim, faster, and talk. It's A/B. Now, I don't know if this is saying that, you know, that's just A or B to interact with things, but for instance, Y is pick up and dive. If you played Mario Sunshine, you'll know that A and B are used to jump and dive, and B also picks up. So that's the only reason you use A and B, you know, and you can use them in tandem, pushing A and B at the same time to do that short Mario dive thing. If Y is on the complete other side of the Switch controller and A is on the other side, how in the world are you going to hit them both at the same time in order to do the short little dive jumps that you could do in the original version? That's really going to suck a lot, I can tell you that. And I don't know if you can change the mapping of these buttons at all, but personally, I don't know. I think you should be able to dive and pick up things with B, and it just makes sense. But now that's tied to, you know, jump, swim faster, and talk, which is very odd to me. But then you have the camera on the right stick, and also Mario's cam if you press down on the right stick. So most people probably wouldn't use this regardless. I think most people just jump and then dive, and they probably don't have the same problem that I do. But if you guys are Super Mario Sunshine fans and you have been doing this and learning the speedrun levels and super, like, go through levels as quick as you can, you'll know what I'm talking about when you're trying to jump and dive at the same time. You'll hit them both at the same time to do this little pop-up in the air, and you can't do that now, it looks like. You know, you're going to have to take your whole left hand off the controller in order to, you know, make that happen, and I don't know how that's going to work, but Yeah, when the game comes out, I'll obviously experiment with it some more and see exactly how annoying that is. I don't know if you can remap these buttons at all, but, you know, yeah, I'm gonna have to play with that for a while. And then you obviously have your analog trigger now mapped to 2 triggers since they don't have that on the Switch. You know, your top R button is going to be your stop and squirt, and your back ZR button is going to be your running squirt. Yeah, that's a weird way they labeled that, but yeah, so pretty much if you want to run spray water, you're going to use the back trigger, and if you want to stop, you know, stay stationary and spray and aim, that's going to be your R button. But there's some still information that I'm not for sure on right now, because for instance on the old Nintendo GameCube controller, you had to push Y and you will go into a kind of almost first-person Mario spraying situation, and I don't know what buttons map to that this time, and maybe they showed it already, and maybe that's the Mario cam when you push the right stick in, but I just don't like how the buttons are mapped. I think this is very weird, and I think the Switch isn't too difficult to remap the buttons like the GameCube, and I just think it's weird that the A and B buttons are essentially the same button, you know, instead of being, you know, jump and dive, and I just think they'd work perfectly right beside each other. But I don't know, maybe there's something that I'm missing here, maybe there's some way around this, but if you guys know what I'm talking about, that dive, it's really bothering me. Let me know in the comments down below. Now, there are some other things that I'm still thinking about, for instance, like, can you still spam spray? Now, this might actually be something that's easier in this game, because with spam spray, you had to slightly push the analog trigger and jump at the same time in order to squirt the water out in front of you in a splash. And this might be easier since the analog trigger is gone and it's really separated between 2 buttons, so all you'll have to press is the back R button for the light press, which would be a lot easier, I think. I think just being able to press that one button and jump at the same time will make spam spraying a lot, you know, practical, and maybe it's fixed, or maybe it's not, and maybe it's even worse. So I don't know. I'm just making predictions right now, so hopefully that thing is a lot easier, because I was still having problems with it on the GameCube myself, or maybe it was just my controller that was the problem, but this could be something of a benefit in this version. One last thing that I did want to mention is Nintendo did update the text on learning how to use FLUDD, and I think the text in all these games, but when FLUDD actually talks, she doesn't say R. She literally just skips it and says press the button, which is weird. I don't know why R is still the way you use the FLUDD. I don't understand why, you know, I guess because it doesn't say R and ZR this time. They didn't want to, you know, go through all that work of making her say that. So instead it just says press the button, which is weird. For God's sake, it looks like they fixed the stupid part where it asked you, do you want to hear this again? Because in the old version, it would highlight yes, and you would immediately be trying to click through everything, and you'd be like, yes. Like, oh no. Thankfully, they put it on no, you know, because no, we do not need to hear it again. Let's move on. Now we move on to Super Mario Galaxy, which is not a big emphasis on triggers, this time an emphasis on motion control. Well, your left Joy-Con is crouch with ZL, and L is your camera reset, which is pretty much the same as the nunchuck. You have suspend menu with minus, and move Mario, which is the same. Now with the right side of the controller, you have pause menu with plus. Your spin is now mapped to X or Y, which is very interesting, which means you don't have to shake the controller if you don't want to. You can just spin with the press of a button, which is awesome. Jump and swim is also A and B again, and change camera view is R, which is pretty much all the same thing. But now you can also still point with the Joy-Con like you could with the Wii controller. You can point and aim with motion controls, and you can even spin and shake the Joy-Con if you want. You can spin and shake the Switch, and you can spin and shake the Pro controller. You can spin and shake anything if you want to play the classic style. But also with the R button, you can shoot star bits with ZR, and you can reset your pointer with R in case it gets messed up, because I heard for lots of people it is going to get messed up a lot, so you're going to be pressing R to get that thing recalibrated a lot. So here we have a little demonstration about how it will work. It's pretty simple. You just move the Joy-Con in order to collect the star bits, and you can reset it, like I said, with R, and you can also shoot them with ZR, and that's pretty much it. If you're playing on your handheld version, you can simply just point at the screen to shoot star bits, and then rub your finger across to pick the star bits up. Now, I don't know how this knows if you're just pointing or just, you know, trying to drag your finger. Will it always shoot a star bit when you touch the screen? I don't know, but this can be worked pretty much on any style you play, is pretty much the premise here. You can even play with the Pro controller, and of course you have your motion controls. With the certain stages like the ball missions and also the manta rays, you can actually move the whole entire Switch console if you're playing in handheld, and you'll move the controller and also the Joy Joy-Con, same way you would do with the Wiimote. So yes, motion controls are still in here. You still have to complete the mission with motion controls, whether you like them or not. You just gotta have to get used to them. But besides that, Galaxy is pretty much the same thing. It plays the same, and everything's going to be looking the same. The buttons are actually updated with their icons in this version. For instance, it doesn't have Wii controls or Wii buttons popping up. It shows you the Switch controls. It even has little hand gestures showing you in the corner how to do so when you're actually playing the game, which is really neat that they went in and done this, at least for Galaxy, but the others didn't really get that treatment. But with that said, it does look like Galaxy is going to be the cleanest of the versions without any type of weird, goofy problems. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Galaxy. But I think this pretty much clears up the question, how will these games control? And besides Mario Sunshine's jump dive thing that I've been talking about, everything else is pretty much answered how it's going to work. So I am super excited to dive into these games with these new play controls, and I think it's just going to feel a lot smoother now with the different types of options of how to play with handheld, Pro Controller, and even Joy-Con. And I think it gives a lot of people a lot more options. But I have a couple of questions for you today. What do you think about these controls? Are there any more questions that you have about the controls that weren't answered here, and some that I may have missed already? And also, let me know what you guys would want to see when this game drops. Do you want to see a montage of bosses? Do you want to see my favorite bosses? Lots of rankings, ranking my favorite worlds within the collection? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to read almost all of them because I'm very curious to what you guys have to say. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and like always, I'll see you in the next one. See you guys.